All right. So if you're at all connected to the Connecticut college basketball scene, you know the guy who I've got on here, J.R. Lynch, whether it was from his time at Hartford, the past year he spent over at UConn. So J.R. Lynch, welcome to the podcast.
Jared, thank you for having me. This is an honor for real, for real.
It's crazy. Before you came on, as I was looking up some of your college stuff, and I'm like, he played 2015 to 2019. It feels like it was just yesterday that I was watching you suit up at Hartford. Does it feel that way for you too?
It does, man. I every chance I get, I kind of share stories with the players because I'm not too far removed
Yeah,
from
yeah.
playing, you know. So having those times just to talk about the memories and stuff, I feel old saying like talking about it, but then I realized like, man, that was like 3 or 4 years ago, you know.
Yeah, it really does feel like it was just yesterday. As you look back at that time at UHart, what stands out as like your top moment during your time there at Hartford?
So a lot of a lot of people don't know this. So the number one thing that stuck out to me was the group of guys Gal had recruited.
Yeah,
Um, my freshman class, we had a kid named Jason Dunn, me, Travis, Trayvon Wilkerson, and then George Blago, who
yeah.
is from Australia. So three of us stood, one guy transferred, which normally it's more like three people transfer, one guy, you
Yeah.
know. Uh, so that situation in itself, we won my first 2 years, a total of 19 games. And then my junior year, we win 19 games in
Yeah.
one season, you know. So the memory for me that sticks out the most was the group of guys that Gal brought in and my teammates, you know. Those are the memories that I love the most.
What did it feel like to be a part of those groups that helped get UHart to where it got? You know, being able to eventually win the conference tournament, make it to the NCAA tournament. I feel like your years there, you guys, especially that your junior and senior there, are so close to breaking through and really getting that program and building that momentum going in the right direction. So, what was it like to be a part of something like that?
It's everything, right? When you play sports, you know, you want to win, but unfortunately, everybody can't win, right? So you hope that there was this saying in the locker room that Gal had above every time you walked in and every time you walked out, you seen it, and it was leave it better than you found it.
Yeah.
And that was the most important thing, right? Was each year we got better, and the culture was just immersing through the next 4 or 3 years, right? So it was good to see that. And once again, like it's all credit to John Gallagher. He knew where he wanted the program to go. And I was just fortunate enough to be a part of that in the earlier years.
UConn fans will like this because of their past history, and you'll obviously like this because I think this probably has to be one of your top memories. But what was it like going on the road and beating BC?
It was everything, right? You're considered a low major. You're about to go play a high major. The expectation is really, really low. You have no expectation. You're not expected to win, so you get to go out there and just play freely, right? And sometimes that happens, right? You make an
Yeah.
upset, and that's what happened. So that the first time we beat them, I thought. That game itself was incredible. Jason hits a
Yeah.
game winner.
Yeah, no, that was an awesome game. Definitely one of my favorites. Looking back at your time there, I'm curious, what's it like now getting to coach alongside Gal versus playing for him? Is there any difference from your perspective? Is like in a different kind of relationship now that you're a colleague rather than a player?
I'll tell you this. It's funny because I just had this conversation with one of the assistant coaches now, and it was just like my first 2 years, I thought Gal was against me, you know, as a player, and that's just being immature. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? My junior and senior year, me and Gal had an unbelievable relationship. where he challenged me and I would challenge him, and we could go back and forth. And then being able to work with him now, having a totally different perspective on what is expected,
Yeah.
start to understand why he did what he did. And that's one thing I would tell you is like, if there's anybody that's on your side, if you're with him, he's your biggest fan, he's your biggest supporter. He's gonna do whatever it takes to make sure that you're taken care of. And that's something as a player I kind of took for granted,
Hmm.
Um, but I'm fortunate enough to be come back around and be with him again. So it's like I said, man, it's unbelievable just to be in the position I'm in. But once again, I tell you this, like he was the first person that believed in me on the court, and he was the first person that gave me a coaching job. So all credit to him.
So take me through how'd you end up at UConn, as a graduate assistant there? Because it seems like a pretty fun role.
Yeah, it was different. So to be completely honest, so in 2020 during COVID, so I was playing in Argentina, and then my season ended. So I was there for 7 or 8 months. And when I got back, like COVID kind of shook me, It was
Yeah.
it was more so like, man, like Jared, the question I would ask myself was, Jared, like, do you want to be remembered as a good basketball player, or like do you want to make an impact on people?
Yeah.
What hold more weight to me was to make an impact on other people, because people did it for me, so that leads me into coaching. And my first job was the director of operations with Coach Gal at UHart, and then that transition of knowing that UHart is going Division 3.
Yeah.
I knew if I wanted to take this career serious, I had to make a move. Um, so I ironically, UConn came around. My high school coach, Nick Marinello, coached at Hudson Catholic. I would talk to him literally every day, 7:30 in the morning, and I would express to him like, man, I need you to make phone calls. I need you to make phone calls. We even had a lot of arguments on things I didn't want to do, what I wanted to do. And to be
Yeah.
honest, I didn't want to be a GA, right? And what happened was, and I thank Luke, like I don't know how to thank him, but the way I thank him is every chance I get to tell the story, I give credit to Luke. So I got on the phone. So Coach Nick connects me with Luke. I get on the phone with Luke. Luke was basically telling me his story.
Hmm.
So he was a GA at Arizona, and then his next job was Wagner. So that kind of gave me some hope. So this was early, I want to say May, June. So early May. I'm on the phone with him,
Hmm.
and I'm like, listen, I'm in the area. Do you mind if I come up to take a visit just to look at the school? He's like, absolutely, come on. I think it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday. So I go up. So I'm thinking like I'm just gonna see the
Yeah.
school.
Go for a
And
tour. Yeah.
go for a tour and stuff. And it was my interview. I met with the coaches, and I fell in love the minute I walked there, because it's like the standard is up here.
Yeah.
And the way they carry themselves, the way Coach Hurley conducts the group, it's everything that you want to be a part of. When you leave there, you feel different. You know what I'm saying? You feel
Yeah.
with confidence, because it's like you're being surrounded by greatness, literally greatness. So once I got on campus, had the interviews, and I kind of walked out of there knowing that I was going to be a grad assistant the upcoming year.
So for those who might not be as familiar, take us through what kind of the day-to-day life is like as a grad assistant. What kind of things are you getting involved with throughout the season, the off season? Just kind of what that's like for you.
Yeah, so I would say being a grad assistant in the summer is completely different than it is during the season. So like in the off season, the summer, it's a lot of like preparation. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So that can be with on the court stuff, helping a coach with scouts or helping coach with finding teams to play, um, doing play sheets, watching a lot of video. So that in the summer, that's the summer, and then in the during the season, you're dealing with travel, making sure everyone unloading bags, packing bags, making sure the food gets there on time, and helping in any way you can. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
was the most important thing I learned during the season is like, man, if you're not doing something, that's an issue. Make sure you're doing something.
Yeah.
Someone needs help. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of asking. Um, and you kind of navigate and you start to learn what is needed or what is expected out of you.
Hmm. You mentioned travel there. Travel a little easier on some chartered flights in the Big East versus bus rides up to Maine and what you had to deal with as a player.
It is, but like it has its perks, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not staying 2 days at a place, you're
Yeah.
traveling the day before and then after that game you're flying back, which is the best, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. So I'm curious, I've had players on, I've had former players on, and I know everyone talks about how tough these Stan Hurley practices are like. What was your first practice like? You step into the gym with him on the court. Take me through what that experience is like.
I'll tell you this. The first official practice at UConn, I practice was 2.5 2 hours. I walked out of practice and asked myself, can I do this? Like, is this something I wanted to, like, is this something I
Yeah.
want? And it's the intensity, the expectation. I tell everyone this, like, I think Coach Hurley, um, he mastered structure art of chaos, the structure art of chaos. And what I mean by that is like there's a plan, but he tries to create so much chaos within the practice where it's just like if you're not on your on your toes and you're not ready to go, like you're gonna get blown out. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
it's being super duper intense, being super duper focused, um, and everything is moving. Like there's no waiting. You gotta get going. Gotta get going.
Yeah.
We have 2.5 hours. We got to maximize these 2.5 hours. And that's one thing I would say is like Coach Hurley, Kamani, Luke, T Moore, like they every practice we're talking about top of the line effort. Top
Yeah.
of the line effort.
Yeah, no, definitely as intense as they sound. As you're going through that season last year, whether it's in the off season, season gets started, was there a moment for you where it clicked like, hey, this team here at UConn has a chance to do something really special and can be really good?
I would say after January. Because and the reason why I say that is because the non-conference schedule, we dealt with some adversity, but we really didn't deal with anything.
Hmm.
Um, but our that January, we dealt with losing games to coach getting COVID. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Having Luke be an assistant, which I thought he did a tremendous job that game.
Yeah.
Um, and the games where we lost down to the wire. I think that month prepared us, and the way we responded, I knew as we got into Big East play, we can be special. Something can happen.
What's it like being, I'm sure you've gone through your trials and tribulations as a player, but as a grad assistant there, being with the coaches, being on that side of things, when the team's going through some tough times, what's it like being a part of that group and trying to, figure out how to correct course a little bit and get this team back on track to how they looked in the non-conference?
So the good thing is I played, right? So I kind of understand the player's perspective.
Yeah.
But like um and this is why I say Gal has always done a great job with his players. So even when I was with Coach Gal, he prepared me for these moments. like
Yeah.
literally. Um, with the responsibility, with the leadership, as a player, and now it's just translating that into a coach, right? Being more personable, understanding the player's point of view, right? So during those times, you're at a low. You know what I'm saying? At
Yeah.
UConn, you got your fans booing you some games, so it's just like this is the capital city of basketball.
Basketball. Yeah.
So it's like the expectation is here. So if you don't meet that expectation, you're gonna know that you're not meeting it. Like you're not when you lose a game at UConn, you're not coming in the office smiling. You know,
Yeah.
you're trying to figure out, okay, we can't lose the next game. How do we not lose the next game? You know, so um, that's what I would say. It's I was fortunate enough to be able to play, and then on the other side of it is understanding what is expected, and then going to players and having those talks. Like, man, like it's gonna be okay. Like
Yeah.
it's how you respond, and a huge credit to Andre Jackson, man. Like that's one dude that the more you watch him, the more you're around him, you fall in love with him, because of how selfless he is. His team first. At any interview, any talk that you had with him, it was never ever about him, and that right there it basically sums up that season.
It's actually funny you bring up Andre there because as you were going through that, he was the first guy that came to mind, during that January struggle. I mean, he's gotten opposing benches talking a lot of trash to him. He's going through some ups and downs. And I was curious from you as a player being a leader like you were when you were playing, and Andre obviously being a leader of this UConn team, were you able to make those connections and talk him through some of those things?
No, absolutely. Like you see it, right? You can see like when a player is going through something. You can see when the all the work you're putting in and you feel like it's not translating. Like I've been in that situation, so it's just more so like, man, like look, just keep doing what you're doing because you're fine. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing I would say is like the coaching staff, they believed in Andre so much that we knew like, listen, this is just a phase.
Yeah.
This is who Andre Jackson is. You know what I'm saying? So and you can kind of like if you look at his last season, you see it. You see
Yeah.
how he goes, you see how he then gets put in situations to be successful and he friggin' dominates the entire game. And you knew when he was on the court, you knew when he was off the court.
Yeah. As you're going through that season, I think one thing that was most impressive to me about last year's UConn team was the ability to just go on like these, 14-0 runs. And the next thing you know, like the game's out of hand. What's it like being on the bench during those situations where it's like all of a sudden you look up and you're up 15 and it's like been 2 minutes, and it's like, what happened here?
Yeah. So it's funny that you say that. So I used to sit right behind the coaches, and it would
Mhm.
be me, Andre Berry, Matt Trudeau, and sometimes our strength and conditioning coach,
Okay.
right? So we would literally sit back there and be like, it's only a matter of time where this game gets opened up.
Yeah.
So there was times, if you notice, when Joey California got on the court and it went from 4 points to 13 points in a
Yeah.
matter of a 2 minute span, right? So it was just like, or Hassan comes in and turns up on defense, gets stops, makes great plays. That lead goes from 4 to 13 in seconds. Like,
Yeah.
and it was just a matter of when it would happen. There was every game we went into that season, we knew we had a shot to win. And just our mindset was, okay, when is this game gonna open up? When
Yeah.
is it gonna open up?
I'm going to take a quick break from the interview to tell you about my friends at Martin Rosol's Meats. This fourth generation Connecticut family business produces kielbasa, hot dogs, sausages, and deli meats using Martin Rosol's very own original recipes. Their products can be found in grocery stores, delis, restaurants, and hot dog stands throughout the state. And if you're looking for your fill right away, check out their retail store in New Britain. For more information, visit martinrosselsinc.com and go support a UConn fan-owned business. And now, back to the interview.
I know the ultimate goal of every player, who plays college basketball is to be a part of the NCAA tournament. I know you guys came up a bit short at Hartford, but what was it like now as a grad assistant to be a part of a team, going to the NCAA tournament, and ultimately winning it all?
Man, I would tell you this. It was something that I never thought would happen.
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of shocked every time I talk about it, because it's just like, man, like this is something I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Like this is something that me and Nick Marinello at Hudson would bang heads, like literally, like, man, like I don't want to do this. And you end up being a part of history. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you watch it unfold right in front of you, and it's something that it's undescribable. It's really undescribable.
What was the game of the NCAA tournament where you're like, okay, I think we can win this whole thing?
The way we punished Gonzaga.
Yeah. Yeah.
And going into that game, for the most part, the matchups are kind of even.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, okay, this game can be semi close, but they had no shot. And that's when I realized, like, holy cow, like we're gonna win this.
Yeah.
we're gonna win this.
As you go through the tournament and just see some of the performances that these guys are able to put on, what impressed you most about that team as you kind of now have some time to kind of think back on last year and what that run was like?
So I'll talk about two players that to me it was unbelievable to watch. Like I think 10 years from now, when they look back at this team, they may mark this team as one of the best teams to ever play at UConn. And the reason why I say that is because, one, I'll start with Adama Sanogo.
Mm-hmm.
Adama Sanogo was doing Ramadan and dominated the
Yeah.
entire match. Like, and I partake in Ramadan with them.
Yeah.
And as I'm not playing and I'm over there dying. Like,
yeah, I'm like, I don't eat breakfast, and I'm like, I can barely like get up off my desk, so I don't know how he's going out and dominating.
I'm over there like what he was doing was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, holy cow, like he's dominating this game without any food, without any water. Like this is unbelievable. And then the second person I would say would be Jordan Hawkins. The one thing that throughout the year that stood out to me, and it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, so every team scouted him as a shooter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he still managed to get at least 6 to 8 threes up a game. Like,
yeah,
how is that, right? But it's literally the work that he puts in, but then it goes back to the coaches putting him in situations to get those shots off. You know what I'm saying? And the actions that we ran were unbelievable. Like, and then the way Jordan would rise up, you every shot he took, you kind of were like, man, like this is gonna go in.
Yeah. As you think about the future of this UConn team, just having been around them this past year, who are you most excited to see next year? And I know you've got some great choices there. I mean, obviously we all saw what Donovan was able to do off the bench, what Alex can do. So take me through some of the guys, coming back who you're excited to see them make that jump from year to year.
So this is about 4 guys I can name, but I'll name all 4 of them. So
yeah.
I think Alex Caravan is unbelievable. He is, like, when you look up the definition of a professional, that's Alex. His daily routines, the way he approaches the game, he means business, and that's that. Donovan, obviously, now he has a bigger role, so more responsibility. But the things that he was doing with limited minutes, you know what I'm saying? 14 minutes, 15 minutes a game. And he was able to dominate the game on both ends of the floor.
Yeah.
So excited to see what he does. The one who I think is going to be to make the most improvements, because I think his role will grow, is Sam Johnson.
Mhm.
I think the excitement of what he brings, and I think what he's gonna do won't shock the people that are in
Around
in the
there. Yeah.
house or around him, but everybody on the outside, they would be like they're gonna be shocked about him. And then Hassan. Hassan, I think, is gonna be a guy whose role kind of increases. He's a veteran. So he's gonna help the new guys. Oh, I actually gotta add one more person because I forgot
Yeah.
he came back. Tristan Newton.
Yeah,
I
yeah. I was just gonna say, I mean, the guy who
yeah.
got criticized by the national media all year for not being a point guard. I mean, what are your thoughts on him and what I mean, especially coming back for another year? I mean, I think you're really gonna get to see his game go to a whole nother level.
Oh yes. The one thing about Tristan that I felt was something that separated him from most was, one, his competitiveness, but the way he responded. Um,
Yeah.
I think, listen, he was getting criticized from all angles, and time in and time in, and he freaking performed when he needed to perform. Every
Yeah.
big thing he performed. Every time we needed him to come up for us, he did. You know what I'm saying? And that's credit to him, because the work that he has put in, and I've heard from some sources that he's been having a great summer. So I'm
There
excited
we
to
go.
see what he does.
There we go. So, the year comes on, some guys are moving on to the next level, including yourself now an assistant at Manhattan, rejoining Coach Gal. So what's the experience been like, stepping up a couple seats on the bench now and getting to be an assistant?
Yeah, the responsibilities grow, right? But I'm with a guy who I played for, so my confidence in my abilities is something that I can bring every day, which is talking, being that player coach, because I played the game.
Yeah.
So the things that I'm learning is the recruiting,
Mhm.
the preparation of practice, right?
Are
So
you having to live in the portal?
yes, we lived a lot in the portal this recruiting this year in general.
Yeah.
The portal was everything. But the good thing is you get lucky enough to get those one or two guys that you probably wouldn't get
Mhm.
if it was a regular year.
Yeah.
Uh, that I think is the beauty of it. Because everyone is looking to go older. No one really wants a freshman unless he's a 5-star or a
Yeah.
4-star guy. So you get lucky to get those guys who probably wouldn't be in your league.
uh going to Manhattan now, give us the quick little preview on this Manhattan team next year. You excited for the group you've got put together and what you've seen so far in the summer?
Absolutely. I think we have a shot to shock the world. And what I mean by shock the world is, like, you're going into a situation where in the last 10 years, not a lot has gone at Manhattan, since
Hmm.
they won the league in 2015. So there's a lot of excitement in that aspect, but it's new energy, right? So you bring in the fortunate situation that we were in, was that there were nine seniors. So those
Hmm.
nine, uh we had nine scholarships,
Yeah.
you know. So bringing in the guys that we want, we get to kind of have that foundation of what is expected.
Hmm.
um and now we're just it's one of those things where you kind of building a puzzle, seeing what works, what doesn't work, what piece fits, what piece doesn't
Yeah.
fit, right? So I think that's the exciting part.
I know it's early, but I know a lot of people here in Connecticut are going to be following both you and Gal and following this Manhattan team. Give us a name or two to be on the lookout for in the season this year.
So the one that everyone probably is familiar with is Briggs McLean.
Yep.
He was the guard from Hartford, I think. His he's an upperclassman now, so the expectation for him is to go out there and perform. You've been here before, so you kind of understand what is expected. And then another guy I would say is our freshman, Seydou Traore. He went to OSL.
Okay.
He's about 6'7", 6'8", really skilled. And like I said, if it was a regular year, he probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah. I'll wrap with this one. And I think it's one of my favorite attributes about both the coaches you've been with in Gal and Hurley, and especially back in the Hartford days. I'd love to sit right behind the bench because I could hear every word out of Gal's mouth as he went after the refs. Who goes after the refs harder, Gal or Coach Hurley?
I'll say this. I'll say the first 15 games at UConn, Coach Hurley was ripping, ripping them, right? And then after those 15 games, he kind of wasn't as bad. But then you have Gal, who it's tough. It's a tough one because Gal just doesn't stop. Like he'll keep coming at you from the beginning of the game to the end. Whether it was a good player, a good call, good or not. Yeah, that's a tough one. I would say 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
They alternate.
Yeah, no, I mean, I honestly think as you know, I was thinking the two. I'm like, oh, that's some of my favorite attributes about him. I love just watching him go at it. So always entertaining from the seats at least.
Yeah.
But Jay, I really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for coming on. Best of luck to you and this Manhattan team this year. I know you're gonna have a lot of people rooting for you. So thanks so much for coming on.
No, thank you for having me. Having me. This is an honor. And keep up the good work. Keep up the
Absolutely, anytime. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir.